G'day everyone, just a really quick disclaimer before I show you this video. I was having audio issues. The audio is really poor. I killed my lapel mic and I had to rely on a shotgun microphone which isn't good in enclosed spaces that echo. So the audio is really poor. But anyway, I've since bought a new mic. Here it is here. I hope you enjoy this video. Here are my pet reptiles. G'day everyone. A few people have asked me if I can bring Satan, my pet blue-tongued lizard, out and put him on camera again. A lot of people ask me if I've still got him. Absolutely, I've still got him. In fact, I've got four pet reptiles, and in this video I'm going to show you all of them. And one of them is very cranky. This is Satan. Satan is an eastern blue-tongued lizard. These guys are found here in the area where I live, in northeast Victoria, as well as a huge other area. They're a very popular lizard. They're almost an iconic Australian reptile, the blue-tongued lizard. The eastern blue-tongue has got these patterns like stripes down their back, as opposed to the blotched blue-tongue that has blotches. Now, the eastern blue-tongue, the scientific name I can't remember, but its first scientific name, its genus, is Tahlequah. Remember that word because I'm going to go back to it shortly. Tahlequah. I've had Satan since 2013, so he's around 7 years old. He eats a combination of, or a wide variety of things. He likes yabbies, as some of you have seen. My most popular video that's had 1.2 million views is called Yabbies for Satan, my pet blue-tongued lizard. He eats a few yabbies. He likes snails, but if you've got a pet blue-tongued lizard, it's fine to feed him snails. But if you've got snail pellets in your garden, don't feed your lizard snails, because the snails need to be clean. Otherwise you can make them very sick and even kill them. But he eats a few snails, a few yabbies, a lot of snail pellets, and they eat fruit, although Satan isn't much of a fruit eater. He'll eat a bit of banana. He likes banana. Sometimes he'll have a little bit of strawberry and that's it. Occasionally I'll feed him a mouse, a baby mouse, a frozen mouse from the pet shop. He loves them and they fill him up. You see, with lizards, I'll see if I can focus on him again. This part of their tail, this thick bit here, that's where they store their food. Their food gets stored here. Well, that's where they feed from during their winter or their hibernation. Well, it's not really a hibernation. They go into what's called a torpor. And when they're in that torpor, their heart rate slows right down because it's cold, and they go into survival mode, and that's how they sleep for a few months. In that time, their body will draw food from this part of their tail. That's like their food reserve to get them through the cold months, which are going to be here very, very soon. Satan's still active and he's still feeding, but I reckon it's not long now until he goes to bed for a few months. All right, mate, I'm going to put you back in your enclosure. I'll put Satan back and I'm going to go and get someone else for you to meet. Remember before I mentioned the word Tahlequah? Well, here's one of my other lizards. This is a shingleback lizard, sometimes called a stumpy tail lizard, scientifically known as Tahlequah rugosa. Now this guy here is the calmest reptile I've got. I've got four and I've had a few others in the past, and this guy here, he is easily the calmest reptile that I've ever owned. Oops, your focus has dropped off your face and onto mine, mate. The face recognition seems to be picking me up and not you. How cool is this fella? He's awesome. Now, these are a Tahlequah as well, as I said, which means they're from the same family as the eastern blue-tongue that I showed you first. These guys prefer a little bit more drier and arid conditions, so they're found a bit further north. I've never seen them around Wangaratta here, but I have found them up around Urana in the Riverina region of New South Wales, and the further north you go, up around Cobar and Hillston and them sort of places, these things are everywhere, particularly in the spring months. Because you see, for reptiles, spring is breeding season, and what happens, the males come out and put themselves on display. See, when we like to put ourselves on display, we wear fancy clothes and earrings and makeup and perfume to impress the opposite sex. What the male lizard does, he just goes out and just be's awesome. They'll go out where they can be easily seen. Bearded dragons will go and stand on top of fence posts out in the open so the girls can see them. Snakes will lay on the side of the road or on the road or just in an open paddock away from the long grass and be easily seen. No different to fallow deer in the autumn when they're in their rut, and the male will lower its guard and go out and be easily seen in search of a female. Lizards do the same. If you drive in outback New South Wales in, say, September, October, you will see hundreds of these guys. Some people call them a pine cone lizard because of the pine cone pattern of their skin. Some people call them a stumpy tail lizard because they've got a stumpy tail. just like the eastern blue tongue. That is where they keep their food reserves for the winter months. And also, I've read, I don't know how true it is, but I've read that a lot of animals get confused with this guy because they don't know which is the head and which is the tail. Because they are a bit like me, its ass looks like its face. Its face looks like its ass, one or the other. But this is Bruges. Bruges is awesome. I love Bruges. My kids get Satan and Bruges out all the time, particularly Holly. She absolutely loves getting the lizards out. Whenever we get visitors, one of the first things she does is get the lizards out to greet them. Alright, I'll put Bruges back. Now the next reptile I'm going to bring out is significantly bigger, so I might have to change my camera angle a little bit. Rightio, now before I introduce you to my next reptile, the biggest one that I've got, I forgot to tell you what Bruges eats. He loves fruit. He eats bananas, grapes. It doesn't matter what sort of fruit it is. If I cut it up, he eats it. And he also eats mealworms. Although he won't go near a baby mouse like Satan does, and he won't go near yabbies like Satan does. He's more vegetarian than what Satan is, although he does like mealworms. Now, with this next video, this is a big snake. But the audio is going to be bad because the closer I get to this microphone, the clearer the audio is going to be. But I've got to stand way back because I've got a big snake in my hands. I'll go get him now. If this guy was to bite me, it would hurt like buggery. Ooh, he's hissing. This is Karma. Karma's a black-headed python from northern Australia. And I've just noticed now, after dragging him out of the enclosure, that his eyes are very milky. When a snake's eyes get really white and milky, that usually means they're about to shed their skin. Now, that's also not a good time to handle a snake. Had I noticed that, I probably wouldn't have got him out. But anyway, he's out now. Karma is a very, very placid snake. He is just an absolutely wonderful-natured, wonderful temperamented snake. He's absolutely beautiful. It's hard to see when he's wrapped around my arms like this. But Karma's close to 7 foot long, probably somewhere between 6 and 7 foot long. I'm 6 foot tall, and if I dangled him on the ground, his head would be higher than me. So he's over 6 foot, I reckon. Somewhere between 6 and 7. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to focus in on his face because he moves around so bloody much. We'll try that. Have we got him? We've got him. I've got him. I've lost him. This is Karma. He's absolutely beautiful. Karma eats full-size rats, adult rats, sometimes king-size rats. In the summer, I'll feed him 2 at a time. This time of the year, I'll only feed him 1 at a time because pretty soon he'll go to sleep for the winter and he might not eat for a few months. So I might give him 1 at a time this time of year. Then in about October, November, when he starts getting real active, I'll feed him 2 at a time, and I usually only feed him about once a month, once every 4 to 5 weeks. Snakes are really good pets for people that like to travel because you don't need to keep the food up to them every day. One thing you do have to remember though is you have to keep your eye on their water because the water will evaporate and they always need water. With reptiles, if they run out of water, they will survive for a little while, but they will need water pretty soon. So always keep your eye on their water. Both of my lizards, Satan and Bruges, eat every 2 or 3 days. Every few days I'll go and put something in there for them, whether it's reptile pellets or some kind of fruit or a mouse in Satan's case, or a yabby or something. I'll feed him every few days. But this big fella here, he only eats about once every 4 to 5 weeks. I feed him more frequently in the summer. During the winter months, quite often he'll go 2 or 3 months without a feed. And you think he hasn't eaten for ages, I might just put a rat in it anyway. He'll smell it, he'll tag it, he'll go bang, and then he'll just abandon it and go and hide under his big rock. Karma, the black-headed python. Mate, if you bit my face now, I'd cry. Rightio, folks. I've got one more to show you, and he's the crankiest one I've got. And he's probably going to bite me on camera. I'll go grab him. Rightio, folks. This one's a little bit different to the others. Meet Chopper. The first thing you'll notice about Chopper is that he's on a hook. And he's not on a... I'm not free handling him like I did Karma. Chopper is a very, very cranky snake. I've never been able to understand why. Chopper is a children's python. They're not called children's python because they're suitable for children. They're called children's python because they were discovered by a guy named Children, believe it or not, Dr. Children. Or I don't want to bring him too close to my face because he will bite me. Now, in a minute, I'm going to free-handle Chopper. I'm going to grab hold of him after I tell you all about him, and he's probably going to bite me. Chopper is a children's python. He feeds on mice and sometimes small rats. He's a very hard snake to feed. Sometimes he'd rather attack the tongs that I put the thing in. He's about to come and grab me. I'm going to free hold him because here he is climbing up the hook. Folks, this is not going to end well, guaranteed. He's already on me. Look, watch this. The moment I put my hand there, he's going to go bang. Come on, mate. Bang. Told ya. You see that? I don't know what it is with this snake. He has got a fair... I know some of you are probably wondering whether that hurts. It doesn't really hurt. It's not too bad now. I think it's because he's got such a large bit of skin that it's not so bad. But what happens when Chopper bites, it's going to keep trying to focus on my face. Maybe if I can hold that in front of my face. You'll see, there's his head in there, where he's got hold of me. What happened, that's the bottom of his mouth, that's his bottom jaw. So there he is, you can see in there, he's got hold of me. When he bites like that, it generally doesn't hurt too much. It will bleed, but the bleeding comes more when I pull him off. When I pull him off there, his teeth will tear my skin and that will make me bleed a little bit. At the moment I might bleed a little bit but not much. But what happens, he'll bite like that, then he'll constrict for quite a while, and after a while, after about 10 minutes or so, it'll start to hurt. Normally what I'll do is I'll unwind him, then I'll run him under the tap, believe it or not, under the cold water, and hopefully once he gets too cold, he'll let go. And if he doesn't, it's really hard to get his teeth and his mouth off your skin without damaging, because the last thing I want to do is damage his skin. I don't know what his beef is. I've tried holding him lots. My wife Loretta holds him a lot. I've held him a lot. I've held him with gloves and long sleeves on. I've held him bare hand like this in an attempt to get him used to being handled, but it doesn't work. Sometimes I'll feed him and he won't take the food. So I'll reach in to grab the food and he'll come and have a go at my arm. I've never been able to understand this snake. He's got some serious issues. At the same time, he intrigues me. One thing I do sometimes wonder is whether his enclosure's too big. You see, with birds, when we put a bird in a cage, the bigger the cage, the better. If a dog's in a yard, the more space they've got, the better. But snakes are a little bit the opposite. They like smaller spaces. They like less area to have to worry about and to have to protect. So, Karma is nearly 6 to 7 foot long. He's in a 6-foot enclosure. The lizards are both in 4-foot enclosures, which is quite big. They recommend a minimum size of 2 foot for a blue-tongued lizard. Well, mine's in 4 foot because I like to give them plenty of room to get around, and I like to get them out and hold them. But this guy here is also in a 4-foot enclosure, and I sometimes wonder if he might settle a bit more, if he'd feel safer in a smaller enclosure, perhaps a 2-foot enclosure. It might be worth me looking into buying a 2-foot enclosure just so that I can put him in there and see if he calms down. I've tried everything with this snake. He's not long shed, which is why his colours are looking really nice and vibrant. That's why his colours are looking so good. He's shed not long ago, so when they're about to shed is when they can get cranky, and he is just not long ago shed, so that's not why he's cranky. I tried feeding him a couple of days ago and he wouldn't feed, so that's probably not why he wants to bite. I just don't get him. Before I came out here now, I washed my hands and my arms with soap to remove any smell of the dog or anything that may be on my hands, in the hope that he wouldn't smell any animals and he might not bite me, but it still didn't work. He wanted me right or wrong. Anyway, folks, I've got to go and get this bracelet off my arm. They're my 4 reptiles. I love them all evenly, even this one. He fascinates me. I learn from him. Thank you very much for watching. For those of you that have been asking for this video, I apologise that it's taken so long. There you go, folks, quick update. I got him off. I feel bad because I reckon it must hurt him getting him off, but he got off and now he's back in his enclosure. He's a beautiful snake. He looks good. I really wish I could learn how to tame him. And before you all say, just hold him all the time, trying that and it doesn't work. I don't know what his beef is. He's just got issues.